just thought it would be the greatest thing to be a shop steward. And so I know that's, people look at me and you're like, so weird. In the dietary department at Parkside, we had shop steward elections by the light of an industrial kitchen toaster. And that's when it all started for me.
Yeah, I first became active with my union back in the 1980s. I was working at Royal University Hospital, probably at that time in the housekeeping department. So I first became active as just a member of large on the local executive board.
I first became active in the union. I started with the health region in December of 1991. The chair had to go off because her husband was having health issues. And they came down and asked me to come to the unit meeting because they needed a replacement unit chair. And I said, sure, I'll come down for the unit meeting, but I'm not sure what a unit chair does. And so I went to the meeting. They elected me to be the unit chair of at that time it was the Swift Current Union Hospital.
And there was about a year-long period where there was just sort of a void in my life, and I wasn't involved with the union. And then the job opened up at 333, and I thought at that time that was the way to get back into involvement with the union, was to become staff member. And some of the local leadership had encouraged me to apply, and I did, and was accepted, and just carried on from there.
I thought I had something to offer the union. I thought that there was a place for me in making change within SEIU-West, because that's what we heard about during the campaign was, SEIU Local 299 was sort of stuck in the muck. We weren't making any progress. Nobody heard from us. And so I took that to heart, and I thought, we can make some real good changes within SEIU 299.
There was a lot of members attending, and we were being asked to vote on having some language removed from the collective agreement specific to the hospital. I always thought there was a skunk in the woodpile over at what went on there. And the person who was encouraging everyone to give up this language ended up getting an out-of-scope position with the health region, and it's like, aha. I'm all about fairness. I have been forever about fairness, and that wasn't fair. The members weren't given enough information when they made that decision.
My proudest moments would generally be around some of the work I do in regards to pensions and benefits for the membership of the local. Some of the work when you get to touch base with people that have, had life-changing events where, you've been able to help them out with medical problems or with their disability claims or pension issues, and seeing people, survive through difficult situations. I find that really fulfilling.
We were 60 years as a local, and we decided to do a big celebration. So we rented the Eagles Hall, and we invited members, anyone who put their name in, to come. We were going to have a big banquet. We had a band where they could dance. We always had great attendances at our unit meetings, and our members always treated this office as a drop-in center. They would always come in for a visit. We were really connected to our members.
My proudest moment as president of Local 299, I would have to say, there's lots of them, right? But, some of them really stick out for me. I think we signed a First Nations Métis partnership agreement. All three individual locals signed. We negotiated this partnership agreement with the Ministry of First Nations Métis Relations. And it was about, building a better labor movement, building a better healthcare system that was more welcoming to people from the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit committee. And I always thought, that's no small feat. But it was well before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And I don't think we knew what we were getting into, but I was always proud that the local, was incredibly warm and open and receptive to that.
Well, I'm going to speak for the members here as being the smallest local of the three that we're merging. They were concerned that their office would be closed here in Swift Current. They were afraid that they wouldn't be as important or as individual. They were proud of being a local here for over 60 years.
My biggest concern going into the merger of the three Saskatchewan locals was sort of the context of it, first of all. I don't like being forced to do anything. I like it to be our choice. So in order to address that, we traveled all over the local, and eventually we had a vote of our members, and the members supported it overwhelmingly.
Well, my biggest concern of the merger of the three locals was I'd already lived through a merger of SEIU locals once before, and the merger really never, although it was successful in the fact that the two locals merged, it was never really carried out in the way it was planned, and there was a lot of business that was left unfinished from that merger and things that never really followed the plan. And I was somewhat worried going forward that we would merge these three locals and have a good plan, but it wouldn't come to fruition.
The loss of our autonomy. Would members in rural Saskatchewan still feel represented? Would their voices be drowned out by a larger local? And we always thought that, we were companion locals that, worked in solidarity with each other, and, there really should be no need for us to merge. Is SEIU-West continuing to give members a voice, to give members, ownership and responsibility of their union? And that'll always be a concern. That'll always be a challenge. And I think for all of us, whether you're staff or your members, whether you're the public, you should care about a strong union. You should care about a strong labor movement. And that only happens when members are able to take ownership of their union.
Was quite a positive note in the history of the local and worked out fairly well. I think it was, crucial as a byproduct of the employer getting bigger and merging their operations. It's given us the ability to better organize around, what the employer does and to provide some consistency in operations throughout the province.
We were operating without a safety net. We were on a high wire act trying to figure it out. And really nobody came along and said, okay, well, at this point you do this. We were figuring it out as we went along.
Everyone deserves to be treated fairly. And without a union, that doesn't happen. It's all about fairness. Puts everyone on an equal playing field. We help people stand up for them when they aren't able to stand up for themselves.
For a lot of years, I think SEIU-West was underestimated. I think members should recognize the importance of being in this union because we've done some incredible things that were completely unexpected and have changed the face of how unions do what they do.
We all have an interest in healthcare and the delivery of health services in the province. And being a member of a proud union like SEIU gives you the opportunity to really, push forward that agenda of healthcare and really develop healthcare in Saskatchewan and have some input above and beyond just the day-to-day operations of the employer.
because you are working in solidarity, you are working in concert and supporting and standing up with other people. And it is less frightening. You are not alone, and you draw strength from each other.
I think wanting to do this work is inspired by sort of the stories of the members of the union. You know, people out there are struggling, many with different issues that they have to deal with, and it's an opportunity to help people with their sort of day-to-day struggles in life.
I mean, the thing that inspires me to do this work is our members. The fact that they can go to work every day despite, you know, some incredible challenges with staffing or with a bad boss or, you know, not being paid fairly. The fact that you can do that every day and still come to a union meeting and talk to someone like me, and they fight for each other and they stand up, that's inspirational.
As a treasurer, I feel a real obligation. This is the members' hard-earned dues. So I feel, like I said, on the principle of fairness, that we need to be accountable for every dollar those members give us. I want the members to have confidence in the treasurer and the work we're doing as a merged local. And so we have the trustees audit every dollar that comes in and every dollar that goes out. They look at every check receipt, every check, every bill paid, payroll, everything.
Well, in the future, I would hope that SEIU-West can help build healthcare back into a more personal experience for the staff, and hopefully, you know, the union can play a role into help rebuilding some sense of community in people's working lives, so that, you know, they can feel that work is more than just a place you go for 8 hours a day.
We're overdue for a win. And, you know, the future of SEIU-West is incredibly bright, but we have to work for it. Like, we can't just sit back and say, well, that's someone else's responsibility. No, that's my responsibility. That's your responsibility. We have to get off our asses and start marching. We have to get off our asses and start fighting. And just saying, oh, nothing ever changes. Not if you sit on your ass.
We'll finally not rent in Current, that we'll own our own building, possibly to expand and have a larger office for the Moose Jaw location, just to be a well-respected union, have our members engaged. And I know that's never 100%. Everyone knows when they see SEIU-West who we are and what we're about.
There is more to do. We have gone so far. We have done such incredible things, but there's more work to do. There are more workers who need the protection of the union. There are more politicians that need to have a scolding, and they need to hear from frontline workers. We have some extremely talented staff who, you know, quite frankly, all of them give me, you know, room for pause, because I think, oh, you're going to get us into trouble. But it's good trouble. There's a guy named John Lewis who used to be a congressman in the US, and he's passed on. I love this guy. If you ever get to read a book by John Lewis, do so. But he marched beside Dr. Martin Luther King in the civil rights era to bring voting rights to Black Americans. And he always talks about the need for people to get into good trouble. SEIU-West members need to get into some good trouble.